and good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, in the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we honor and acknowledge the Mohkinstsis and the Treaty 7 territory and oral practices of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, as well as the Stoney Nakoda and Tsuut'ina nations. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. Finally, we acknowledge all nations, Indigenous and non, who live, work, and play and help us steward this land, honor, and celebrate this territory. The sacred gathering place provides us with an opportunity to engage and demonstrate leadership and reconciliation. Thank you for your enthusiasm and commitments to join us on the lands of Treaty 7 territory. Welcome to the ALEX Annual General Meeting. I'm Dustin Owens, Chair of the ALEX Board of Directors. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we hope that wherever you might be tuning in from, you and your families are safe and healthy. The COVID-19 pandemic has challenged all of us, but I am so proud to see how resilient and adaptable Calgarians have been throughout this very trying time. We're going to begin the annual general meeting with a fiduciary component. We will then take a moment to review the work we've done in our 2020-2021 fiscal year. I will now call to order the ALEX Community Health Center's 2021 annual general meeting. The ALEX Community Health Center has distributed the minutes from the 2020 annual general meeting, as well as the 2020-2021 audited financials to our voting members. I would like to call a motion. Be it resolved that membership approve the 2021 annual general meeting agenda as presented. Excellent.
I so move. Judy
This
McDonald.
motion has been moved by Judy McDonald, and it has been seconded by Jeff Mania. At this time, we would ask that any board members who are voting against or abstaining to make known in the chat. Otherwise, we will consider the motion carried unanimously. Excellent. This motion is carried. Thank you very much. I would now like to move us onto the second agenda item, item 2.2, review and approval of the minutes of the 2020 AGM. I would like to call for a motion. Be it resolved that the membership approve the 2020 annual general meeting minutes as presented. This motion has been moved by Mr. Doug Page and seconded by David Pickersgill. At this time, we would ask that any members who are voting against or abstaining to make this known in the chat. Otherwise, we will consider this motion carried unanimously. I see this has been carried. Thank you, everyone. I would now like to introduce our board treasurer and chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, Janice Anderson, to present the audited 2020-2021 financial statements.
Perfect. Thank you, Dustin. Okay, so the ALEX's stewardship of donor dollars adheres to rigorous processes. Decisions regarding investments are made based on community needs, research, and funding criteria. Program results are being continuously monitored. The board has a responsibility to ensure that donated dollars have the greatest possible impact on our community. Our board and staff take this responsibility very seriously. We adhere to the highest standards of governance on all matters. In your email confirmation, you would have received a digital copy of the 2020-2021 financial statements, and they're also available on the ALEX's website. The financial statements are prepared by finance staff at the ALEX and are audited by our external auditor, KPMG. The ALEX's 2020-2021 financial statements underwent extensive review by the board's Finance and Audit Committee, and I would like to thank all committee members for your due diligence and effective stewardship of the ALEX's financial resources. I would now like to make a motion. Be it resolved that the ALEX's Community Health Center's audited financial statements for the year ended March 31st, 2021 be approved as presented. David Bach has seconded this motion. And at this time, we would like to ask any board members who are voting against or abstaining to make this known in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to consider the motion carried unanimously. Motion is carried. Thank you. I would like to thank our hardworking KPMG audit team for their contribution to the Alex's financial reporting process, as well as the finance team for the great work that they do all year round. I would like to make a second motion. Be it resolved that KPMG be appointed as the auditors for the Alexandra Community Health Center for fiscal 2021-2022. Okay, Danielle Ayana James has seconded the motion. And at this time, we'd like to make any board members who are voting against or abstaining make this known in the chat. Otherwise, we will consider the motion carried unanimously. Motion carried. Thank you. I would now like to invite our Vice Chair, Jeff Monnier, to preside over the election of our board members.
Thank you, Janice. Board members, like so many volunteers throughout Calgary, are dedicated community members who support the Alex's Community Health Center. They lead the Alex's direction to provide leadership, accountability, stewardship, and strategic direction to the organization. The Alex Community Health Center is governed by an independent board of directors reflecting Calgary's diverse community members and workplaces. Members are generally nominated by current board members. They are usually elected for a 2-year term and then eligible to renew for a second 2-year term. The Board Governance Committee meets regularly and is responsible to ensure the board is operating as it should and recruiting and reviewing prospective candidates for the board of directors. The slate presented to the annual general meeting has been developed considering such factors as each individual's commitment to the Alex's mission, willingness to devote considerable volunteer time, and professional skills required to meet the Alex's strategic needs. Our bylaws state that nominations be presented by members up to 21 days prior to the date of the meeting. Each nomination must indicate evidence that the nominee is prepared to serve as a director. There have been no nominations other than those presented by the Board Governance and Board Development Committee. Board bylaws state that to be a member, a person must be an individual who is a resident in the province of Alberta and be the full age of 18 years, who wishes to participate in or support the objects of the society as registered within Alberta registries and agreed to be bound by the laws of the society, and nominated and elected by the existing members at an annual general meeting. Membership year is the date of the annual general meeting to the next annual general meeting. Only those members in good standing are permitted to vote. At this point, I would like to make a motion. Be it resolved that the membership approve the 2020 and 2021 slate of directors as presented. Laura Brown has seconded the motion. At this time, we would ask any board members who are voting against or abstaining to make this known in the chat. Otherwise, we will consider the motion carried unanimously. Motion carried. Thank you. I will now welcome back Dustin Owens to deliver closing remarks.
Thanks, Jeff. Please join me in re-welcoming our 2021-2022 Board of Directors. As a returning member, I want to take the time to thank my fellow directors for their collaboration, for their time, energy, and skills that they bring to our organization. The board of directors is proud to stand with our staff at the Alex and support an organization that is constantly shifting, adapting, and fearlessly working towards the health and wellness and equity and inclusion for all Calgarians. When called upon, the Alex responds. Each of our over 400 team members is committed to walking with the community, members from challenge to change. Their efforts make immense differences in people's lives, and we thank them for being part of the Alex family. Reflecting on where we find ourselves moving forward, it's clear now more than ever that big change does not happen in a vacuum, and no one can do this work alone. So we look to our supporters, government partners at all three levels, corporate friends, foundations, and individual donors, and thank them. We thank them for believing in the work we do and for helping us move forward. Thank you for being our partner. Judy McDonald is now making the final motion for the night. Be it resolved that membership agree to adjourn the 2021 annual general meeting. Great. David Pickersgill has seconded this motion. Thank you very much. With the fiduciary component of our annual general meeting now adjourned, it is my pleasure to present the reports to the community. Each year, the report to community has become an exercise in reflection and inspiration to move forward. What you will learn about today is a slice of what now feels like the new Alex Community Health Center, or Alex 2.0, as our CEO Joy likes to call it sometimes. As an organization that has a deep history of adapting, growing, and shifting to meet new challenges, this pandemic year has been nothing short of wondrous in how it has shown what our steadfast team is capable of. You will see this in our COVID overview and the program spotlights, including our newest, hopefully temporary, assisted self-isolation site. This year also saw the fruits of our research labors. Seeds of discovery now grown into beautiful, tangible results, demonstrating that our model of care truly moves the needle on seemingly intractable issues like poverty, homelessness, food insecurity, and mental health and addictions. This past year, we also polished our look and brought new life to how we tell the story of the Alex. You will feel that change in this year's annual report, as well as on our website, which I encourage you to visit. As part of this process, we also refreshed our mission vision and developed a new set of Alexian values for our staff to be guided by. So on behalf of the board of directors, I'm deeply proud of everyone who works at the Alex, from our frontline staff, our medical teams, our custodial crew, and administrative team. And we could do none of this without our government partners, funders, and supporters. That's you. Thank you for being part of our journey.
Dynamic.
Challenging.
I guess a roller coaster would be the visual representation.
Chaotic.
Just pumped up all the time.
Also kind of fun.
Enjoyable.
Humbling.
Caring.
Joyous.
It's definitely a community.
Just family.
It really goes beyond isolation. We've been able to address housing, mental health, stabilization on medication, even just a place to rest.
And some of the clients were telling us about how safe they feel when they are here.
Often clients will leave us little notes or drawings, pictures that they make during their time here that just say like, thank you, I was able to detox for the first time in my life, or like, thank you for helping to set me up with housing as I'm leaving here, or thank you for just making me feel heard and understood.
You're so thankful for just having somebody to listen to them and to understand them and what they're going through.
I feel like we fill a really niche aspect in what's being offered out there right now, in that we're saving the system dollars by not having people hospitalized, but we're also relieving stress from the shelter system by managing some more intense medical needs or withdrawal needs in the community.
And I've been inspired by just some of the amount of collaboration and teamwork that goes on here at the ACEs, both with staff and even the clients that we support.
We've seen such great teamwork between Alberta Health Services, Calgary Homeless Foundation, the Ministry of Community and Social Services, with the City of Calgary. I don't know if I've ever experienced that level of collaboration from the top down, from the funders to management to frontline staff.
Everybody's at the same level. Nobody's better than anybody here. The doctors are amazing. The nurses, the registered nurses, the LPNs, the FSWs, the CSWs, like.
There's, as a collective here at ACES, there's such a strong understanding that the line between patient and provider is like razor thin. There is almost no difference other than the support that each of us had in our lives when we were at our lowest moments.
It's just one of those things where it's like, their story could be you.
Is I have this particular client who really inspired me when he told me about the support and love that he got here at the ACES has helped him want to reconnect with his son who is 12 years old, has made him reflect on his role as a father.
I guess the lesson is to just keep treating everyone with kindness, and you never really know what someone's going through.
I have learned that people as a community can come together and reach out to those who are really in need.
Just to really realize that like everyone is people, everyone has a story, and I think COVID has definitely affected so many people in such a negative way, but to kind of experience this without a home to self-isolate in would be extra rough.
Every single person that comes here is a family member, is a friend, is somebody that deserves to be cared for and supported and safe and all of those things.
I love it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else besides being here right now.
It's changed my life. It's awesome.
We all look forward to when we can wrap up this version of ACES and there's no need for isolation anymore. We get to celebrate the ending as well as the beginning.
Happy birthday, ACES!
Happy birthday, ACES! Happy birthday!
My name's Monica. I'm 25. I was born and raised in Calgary, and I've been coming to the Alex for about 7 years. I was about 18, 19 years old. I was going to school to upgrade because I didn't do well in high school. And at the time I was living with my mother, and my mother and I have never gotten along. I was really depressed at the time. I was self-harming like crazy. I was doing drugs. I was using like ecstasy, smoking weed, and like I was using that to cope at the time. And I was only working like a couple shifts a week, and I couldn't handle a large workload. And so my mom was like, you have to start paying rent. And she ended up kicking me out. And I was too afraid to go back to my dad and explain like my mother and I had another falling out. And it's like I was scared of like almost admitting defeat. That's what brought me to the Alex. Actually, I was self-harming, and I was telling my counselor at school. I didn't tell him I got kicked out, but told him that I was really depressed and like dealing with suicidal thoughts. And he's like, there's this place called the Alex, you should go one day. And I got up the courage one day to go to the Alex, and I had no clue who to talk to or who to go to, or like I was on the verge of tears because I was so scared and like just being anxious to ask for help because I was scared of being judged. I have BPD, borderline personality disorder. Like, this is something I'm going to be battling with the rest of my life. You have to have help readily available when you need it. My psychiatrist and I call them little blips on the radar when I like start to fall down like the rabbit hole. And if my counselor's not readily available, I have to go to the hospital. I was coping, like I was just getting through my day to day, and like now it almost feels like I have a purpose now. Like I'm going to school, I have a cat to take care of, and like I'd like to say I'm coping very well. I still have times where I almost fall down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I'm going to school. I start in September. I was hoping to do something like along the lines of like case law, or I was hoping to maybe work at the Alex. If I was able to work here, it would be kind of like, because they gave to me, I want to give back to them. Aiden's like, you're such a leader. I'm like, I don't see myself as a leader. And like, Aiden's like, the other kids look up to you. I'm like, really? I do think I'd say I'm proud of like how far I've come, because like compared to where I was, like I haven't self-harmed in months. I'd say almost maybe close to a year. My counselor told me to like still like pat yourself on the back if it's been a week, if it's been a day, if it's been a month. The first time when I walked through the Alex, the first person that greeted me with such a smile that I will never forget. And the warmth the staff give you, they're not just doing their job. They know that the people that walk through these doors have some type of like story or like problem or issue they are going through. They don't look at you like another statistic. They look at you as like as a human being.
So the New Roots Immigrant Project is a pilot project we are taking on here at the Alex Community Food Center as a way to explore the unique ways immigrants are experiencing food insecurity. starting with Latin American communities, then it was the Vietnamese and Chinese communities. We then worked with the Filipino and the Middle Eastern communities, and then this upcoming weekend we're working with East African communities. Something that we are very much value here at the Alex is that piece around dignity. And so we created culture advisor groups for each of the different cultural groups that we're focusing on so that they can share feedback on the different types of produce we use. Something that's also unique at our markets that we do is offer a free meal to go. And so we worked with those cultural groups to say, what would be a culturally relevant meal for each of those targeted markets? And actually involving community members themselves to even help us make those meals.
Whenever I engage with the community to prepare a meal, my first thing is that I try to have the participants talk about their experiences, and I will learn more from them.
We often say, and I try to say it a lot, I'm like, this is not our space, it's your space. These were all things that we chose to include as a way to make sure that we are leading with community. One of our Latin volunteers shared about how food is actually comfort and safety, because remembering and eating food that's something that they ate as a child or that is recognizable to them, it gives them a level of comfort that's often missing from their experience being here as immigrants and low-income immigrants in Canada. And so creating more spaces that considers their cultural backgrounds really does add that level of safety, a level of comfort. There's been so many different connections. We have seen families who just came in not knowing and not ever been into our space before, really excited about what else we're doing and have signed up for programming, taking part of the stretch and stroll with our dietitian, Gina here, joining some of the regular programming like Dads in the Kitchen or our gardening program. That's been what's wonderful, is that we're seeing people who we haven't seen before really feel valued and happy and engaged in our space.
I think we should encourage to have more of these programs, because a lot of the community members who move, especially newcomers, refugees, they have a lot of fear or they can't open up. And I think when they come along here, where everyone is having an access to a meal and they see, oh, everyone is so carefree, they get a chance to open up and they had their own stories to tell. So they carry a lot of talent with them. We need that.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joy Bonaire. I am the CEO at the Alex, and I'm so proud to stand alongside.
My name is Megan von Bogason. I am Anishinaabe from Treaty 1 territory in Peguis Reserve, Manitoba. I'm also Sami Fin, settled in Treaty 6 territory out by Sylvan Lake.
Megan has been instrumental in trying to help us address the calls to truth and reconciliation, specifically on how it applies to the Alex. And I think part of that is having a specific Indigenous health strategy. And so, we know that 40% of the folks that we work alongside in our housing programs are Indigenous, and about 30% of our kiddos in our youth programs. And so we need to look at health in the way Indigenous folks access health. We have made a commitment to the calls for truth and reconciliation, and our board is alongside us and recognizes the importance. We also have an Indigenous board member on our board, David Mock. If you listen to this, we think the world of you here at the Alex. We knew that we needed to, as part of our journey, is to make our space at the Alex more welcoming for Indigenous people and for all people. And so we were really blessed. A year and a half ago, we did a pitch night to the Calgary Foundation, and the Alex won the pitch night, and we received some money to create a space that was warm, that was welcoming, and that had an Indigenous lens to it.
The work is exciting. I think we're moving forward. Also the excitement of, working on the Indigenous gathering space and doing that in a good way. Having an elder come in and do a naming ceremony with us, and making it where people can come and access smudging, eventually programming, ceremony, elders, and just making it more of a community space where we can kind of grow.
And the best part about the room and the space that's been chosen, it's really the central point of the whole entire Alex main site. And so when people walk into the community health center, they'll see the space that we've created. And then we need to go further than that space, because it's not just about one room.
No.
So we know that we have a long journey ahead, and so there's much listening and learning that we need to do as an organization. And part of that journey started when we asked Megan to help us out by setting up some elder talking circles. Megan, if you can kind of talk about the circles that we've had to date, and then what's going to happen because this is just one step and just one small piece of what we have been doing.
Yeah, so far we've had 2 virtual talking circles with a total of 10 elders. We've had elders from Satina, Ikani, Gaina, from the Red River Settlement, and all over, trying to have a diversity of knowledge and sharing, which we've been very grateful to have. And through those consults, we'll take that information and the learning that the elders have given us to implement some of the faith, maybe staff development, programming, policy planning, in terms of how we can ingrain Indigenous ways of knowing into the Alex as a whole.
Well, that was a pretty great look back on our year. For our fiscal year ahead, we are excited to continue to move forward with our bold plans to ensure Calgarians have access to quality health, housing, social, and wellness supports, to ensure there is food equity in our community, and to walk with those who need some extra support in their daily lives. No one person can do it by themselves. No one person, no one organization, no one level of governments, and no one funder. Indeed, it truly requires collaboration and a commitment to one another to move the needle on big, thorny problems like mental health, addictions, poverty, homelessness. But with a community like ours, we are all making great changes to our city every day. Thank you so much for playing your part, and we will continue to play ours. Thank you again, and have a wonderful evening.